Thank you everyone for joining us. Good evening and welcome to RTD's first virtual educational workshop regarding our August 16th modified service changes. Buenas tardes y bienvenidos al taller virtual de RTD sobre los cambios de servicio que serán efectivos el 16 de agosto. Para escuchar este taller en español, por favor llame al número que está en la pantalla. El número es 347-514-7350 y use la clave 082-9511. Ahí podría escuchar el taller de esta tarde en español. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us. My name is Marab Telemontes, and I am RTD's Project Controls Manager and Public Information Officer. I will be your moderator this evening. As previously mentioned, today we are going to share all the details about our upcoming modified service changes, which are going to be effective August 16th. Joining us today, we have RTD Service Development Specialist, Elizabeth Fernandez. Elizabeth will be introducing us to the weekday and weekend services. Our Deputy CEO, Kimberly Gale, will be explaining the text bus and Van Gogh redesign. Operations Superintendent of Maintenance, Brad Manel, will tell us all about the cleaning and sanitation of RTD's buses. Lastly, our Risk Administrator, Nancy Antonio, will talk about the health and safety measures that RTD is taking to make sure you feel confident when using the public transportation again. At the end of our workshop, our staff will address questions and concerns related to the presentations received from you folks, from everyone who is listening or viewing the workshop live on Zoom and on Facebook this evening. To submit a question, please enter it into the chat box available through Zoom. There's also a chat box available through Facebook, and we will gladly address your question. If you submitted your questions in advance, please note that we will be answering your questions during the presentations. Again, thank you for joining us, everyone. And without further ado, let's begin.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Fernandez. I am the Service Development Specialist for San Joaquin RTD. So a little bit about our department. So our department focuses on analyzing ridership patterns and route performance efficiency. So first, I would like to thank everyone for the opportunity to share with you the upcoming service changes that will take effect, as mentioned before, on August 16, 2020. Next slide, please. Okay, so I'm gonna, on certain slides, I'll be giving a little bit of a brief explanation about some of our services in case individuals aren't aware of our services, or if they just need a little bit of a refresher to be able to familiarize with some of the upcoming changes. So first, I would like to start with a brief description of our BRT Express service. So many of you might see these buses around. They're big, red, and you see either Express on them. And a little bit of a summary on these routes are that the BRT Express is a high-quality bus rapid transit service that operates with fewer stops. We don't collect fares inside the bus. That's why we see like little fare boxes outside. And we also have more frequent trips than regular bus service, which makes these routes faster frequency, and they're more reliable and more convenient for passengers. Next slide, please. Okay. So first, I would like to start with the upcoming weekday changes, and then continue with the weekend changes. So first, as you see on the screen, for those that are viewing the screen, for our weekday BRT Express route service, Route 40 and 43 will be fully restored to 15-minute frequencies, and Route 44 will return to its 20-minute frequency. Route 47 and 49, on the other hand, will operate every 30-minute frequencies, with trips in the morning for work and school. These routes will operate every 15-minute frequencies during the AM and the PM peak times only. Next slide, please. Okay, so a little bit about our local SMA routes. So RTD local routes serve the Stockton metropolitan area known as SMA. These routes connect with our RTD express routes, our intercity, hopper, and our commuter services. Next slide, please. Okay, so for our local or Stockton metropolitan area known as SMA routes, currently our local SMA 300 routes at this time are suspended until further notice. These changes are due to for these changes, we will continue to monitor the current situation and update the public of any upcoming changes based on the current situation. Next slide, please. So all our 500 series routes, which run Monday through Friday, will return with the same schedule as prior to COVID-19. We do have some minor exceptions of some minor changes for certain routes. And these routes, as you can see on the screen, include Route 545. So for Route 545, we will have the first northbound trip departure at 6:43 a.m. and the last southbound trip will depart at 5:05 p.m. Route 555, the first southbound trip will depart at 6:07 a.m. and the first northbound trip will depart at 6:38 a.m. For Route 560, it will be suspended, but however, trips to the Monte Diablo and Pixie Woods area will be covered through the Metro Hopper 4. Route 566 will continue. It will have 2 round trips in the morning and then 2 round trips in the afternoon. Route 578, the first northbound trip will depart at 6:10 in the morning. So next slide, please. Okay, so a little bit about our Metro Hopper service. So our Metro Hopper service is a deviated fixed route. The service provides service to popular destinations throughout the Stockton city limits. Next slide, please. Okay, so for our Metro Hopper routes, Metro Hopper 2, in addition to its regular service, will provide limited service to the Wagner Heights area, as well as Don Avenue and Auto Interstate. So this area was previously served by the Route 365. So because we aren't currently running the 300 series routes, Metro Hopper 2 will be covering that area. Metro Hopper 4, in addition to its regular service, will provide limited service to the Monte Diablo Avenue and Pixie Woods. So as well, this area was provided service through the Route 560, but because we are discontinuing the Route 560, the Metro Hopper 4 will be covering that area. Metro Hopper 7 will be suspended, but we do have alternative service with the Route 555, which will be returning as mentioned before. Metro Hopper 8 will be suspended, but we will have alternative service on the Route 371, which serves Marsh Lane and Holman Road. Metro Hopper 1, 3, 5, 6, and 9 will return with the same schedules as prior to COVID-19. And for this area for the Metro Hoppers, we did receive a couple questions before the presentation. So I'll be responding to some of these questions. So the first question is, for the Hopper and Intercity line, if they came back, will those still deviate for 88 pickups? So the answer is yes. Since we are returning the Metro Hoppers again, you can still have deviations on these routes. The second question is Hopper 5 changing their times? So currently, Metro Hopper 5 is returning as usual. We don't have no plans of changing it. So uh, you, so those who ride Metro Hopper 5, you won't see any change on that route. Our last question for the Metro Hoppers is, was there a mistake on the matrix in regards to the route 371 replacing the Hopper 8? So as I mentioned, route 379 will not be replacing the Metro Hopper 8, but it will provide alternative service for it on Marsh Lane and Holman Road. Sorry, route 371. Next slide, please. County Hopper, so for our County Hopper service, County Hoppers are a deviated fixed route that serve the San Joaquin County and provide intercity connections between Stockton, Tracy, Lodi, Manteca, Ripon, and Lathrop. Sorry, my light went out. And now we will also provide service to Escalon, which will be for the upcoming route 95. So which I will talk about in a couple of minutes. So for County Hopper 90, will continue to serve as it currently does it'll serve Stockton, Lathrop, and Tracy with a modified schedule. Connections to the mall transfer station will be available at the DTC with the Route 40. So this means the Route 90 will no longer go to the mall. It will be going to the DTC only, and will still serve Stockton, Lathrop, and Tracy. So and then connections to Tracy Walmart will be available at the Tracy Transit Station with the Tracy Tracer routes. County Hopper 91 will continue to serve Stockton, Manteca, and Ripon with the modified schedule. Connections to the mall transfer station will be available at the DTC with the Route 40. So similar to the Route 90, Route 91 will not go to the mall. It will only go from DTC to Manteca and Ripon. County Hopper 93 will continue to serve Stockton and Lodi with a modified schedule. With the modified schedule. And connections at the DTC will be available at the mall transfer station with the Route 40. New County Hopper 95 will provide new service from Stockton to Manteca and Escalon. County Hopper 97 will provide direct trips between Tracy and Manteca via Lathrop. Connections to Stockton will be available via Route 95 and 91 at the Manteca Transit Center and Route 90 at the Tracy Transit Station. Okay. And for this area, we also had some questions. So one of the questions is, will the regular 90, 97, 150 routes return with service to the Lathrop area and the 91 to Manteca? So yes, although the Route 97 will have some route modifications, it will no longer travel to Stockton. It would only be providing service from Tracy, Lathrop, and Manteca. So in order to be able to catch the 97 to Tracy, and you would have to either ride Route 90 that goes from Stockton, Lathrop, and Tracy, or Route 95 or 91 that go to Stockton and Manteca and catch the 97. Does the 93 still stop at the triangle? So yes, the 93 will still stop at the Hammer Triangle, but will no longer travel to the downtown transit station. Okay, next slide, please. Okay. So for intercity route service, unfortunately, Route 23 will be suspended, But however, we will have alternative service to Lodi available on the new Route 93, which will provide service to the mall transfer station, to Lodi, and the Metro Hopper 4 will provide service to stops on El Dorado, Fremont, and Oak, and El Dorado traveling to the mall transfer station. Next slide, please. And next slide, please. Okay. So for our commuter route services, the Route 150 will provide 3 round trips in the morning and then 3 round trips in the afternoon from Dublin BART station. Route 163 will provide 2 round trips in the morning and 2 round trips in the afternoon. So next slide, please. So finally, for our weekend route service, Route 40, 43, and 44 will be returning with their same schedules as prior to COVID-19. Route 47 and 49 will operate every hour and connect to other local BRT routes. So for the BRT weekend service, we did receive a question in regards to the weekend service for Route 47 and 49, since it will be running every hour. So the question is, on the weekends with the Route 47 and 49 will be running every hour. It's an express. How can it be an express with just one coach on it? So the answer is, at the moment, the service will be every hour on weekends due to budget constraints. But RTD will be monitoring the ridership. These routes still stop only at selected stops to make the trips faster, which is a feature of an express route. Now heading to our 700 series, which run on Saturdays and Sundays, which include the route 710, 715, 720, 725, and 745. They will be returning with the same schedules as prior to COVID-19. So for these routes, we have no changes at all. For our county hopper routes, due to reduced funding, these weekend hopper routes will be suspended at this time. And for our commuter route service, the Route 150 will be returning with the same schedules as prior to COVID-19. And for now, I'm done with my section, and I will go ahead and turn it over to our Deputy CEO, Kimberly Gale.
Before we go turn it over to Kimberly, Elizabeth, we did receive a question about the 300 routes. I just sent it over to you in the chat.
Okay.
If you wouldn't mind addressing that before we move on, please. Thank you.
Okay, so again, we can just suspend it. Okay, so this question, so I'm gonna go ahead and read it. So it's from one of our passengers. It says, again, the 300s are suspended. Then how are we supposed to get to our medical appointments and Winkle in that area? You suspended the 371 and Hopper 8. So for that area, we still do have service on the Metro Hopper 6, as well as we do have for the Metro Hopper 6 currently that does serve that area. And yes, as mentioned, the 300s currently are suspended. But we hope to reinstate them soon. But for now, if I'm not sure if this passenger is ADA certified, but I think they could still make appointments through ADA.
Thank you, Elizabeth. And for trip planning, you're also welcome to visit our website at SJRTD, or you can give us a call, and our customer service representative will be glad to help you plan a trip. And the customer service representative may be reached at 209-943-1111. Thank you very much, Elizabeth. And now we will turn it over to our Deputy CEO, Kimberly Gale.
Thank you, Marab, and thank you, Elizabeth. Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. Again, my name is Kimberly Gale. I am the Deputy CEO here at RTD. And my first topic I'll be talking about is some exciting news about improvements we've made to the text bus feature. This text bus program and feature has been around for several years, approximately 9 years. And as some of you know, text bus allows you to check the status of your bus arrivals and departures using your mobile device. Next slide, please. You can use any mobile device that has a texting feature by simply entering the unique ID code on the bus stop sign. And shortly thereafter, you'll receive a return text promptly with the scheduled departure or arrival. Now, what's new and expanded about this service is that it allows you to look up more than one route at a time. For example, if you are located at the mall transfer center and there's more than one route, you can text the feature and it'll allow you to see all of the routes scheduled for that stop. This will better allow you to plan for your trip and have more options when you travel on RTD. We do have some scheduled maintenance that will occur in the next few days. However, the text bus feature will be fully operational by the time we start our launch on August the 16th. Next slide, please. A little bit of back. Okay. All right, now I'm going to talk about Van Gogh. I'm pretty sure you have seen some of our vans with the renderings of the artist Van Gogh, hence the name. And so we'll be talking about some of the service modifications relating to that. As some of you know, Van Gogh is an accessible on-demand shared ride service that RTD established last year in 2019 as a pilot program. On-demand service provides mobility options through the use of shared ride technology, and service has been very popular. All Van Gogh trips must be booked in advance through the Van Gogh app, and reservations can be made up to 48 hours in advance. There's also a telephone feature. Same-day booking is also allowed based upon availability. Next slide, please. During my presentation today, you will hear how RTD plans to respond to factors such as reduced funding, loss of revenues, and overall effects of COVID-19, which has not only impacted RTD's service, but has also impacted our community and many others. A key focal point for the Van Gogh redesign is to enhance the service options for the residents of unincorporated and rural counties of the rural areas of the county in light of these fiscal constraints. However, these enhancements will provide a more seamless trip to our unincorporated and rural areas while reducing duplication and overlap of our existing fixed route service. Next slide, please. This map shows Van Gogh's current service. As you can see, there are 4 zones. The first in yellow is the North San Joaquin County area sector that includes the city of Lodi and county areas around like Lockford and Thornton. The second zone is the green zone and covers Stockton and areas west to east on Highway 99 and also includes Linden and eastern San Joaquin County. The last 2 zones cover southern San Joaquin County with Lathrop, Tracy, and Mountain House to the west, Escalon, Ripon, and Manteca to the eastern part of the county. Currently, Van Gogh will take you to most areas of San Joaquin County, but you must transfer between the 4 service area zones. Under the new service redesign, this will change and no transfers will be needed, thus providing for a more seamless trip. Next slide, please. As I stated earlier, RTD's Van Gogh service redesign was made in response to reduced funding within current COVID-19 environment, which impacted RTD's budget. As you can see in the new map area in Burgundy, the unincorporated and rural areas of the county will be the primary focus for the Van Gogh service redesign. The service will be seamless and allow trips for residents in the unincorporated areas and rural areas of the county. Again, as noted on the map, If any leg of your Van Gogh trip begins or ends in the unincorporated and rural areas of the county, which is the burgundy area of the map, this trip is eligible for the Van Gogh service. For example, if I live in Linden, up in the far right corner in the eastern part of the county, I can travel to Lockford and back on the Van Gogh service. But I can also travel to Stockton and back for the reason why I began my trip in the unincorporated county area. Another example is to travel from Mountain House in the unincorporated county area to Tracy and back, or to travel to and back from Lathrop. What does this mean for trips in Stockton or any of the other cities that are shaded in gray? In short, it means that trips that are only within these cities will no longer be available for Van Gogh service. For example, a trip that begins and ends within the city of Lodi is no longer available for Van Gogh service. First, there is existing transit service within Lodi that is available, as well as each of the incorporated cities. In fact, RTDs regularly connects with each of our local city providers through the county hopper route system. Although we are limiting Van Gogh service in the incorporated cities of Stockton, Lodi, Manteca, and Tracy, RTD is ramping up its BRT, Stockton, and Hopper systems, as Elizabeth just presented. In addition, each incorporated city provides service to their residents. We received several questions about this change, and I'm going to address them now. First question is, why is the chime changing to only 8 to 5? Again, this is due to budget constraints and limitations that we have, and we're limiting the service to 8 to 5. However, the service will still operate 7 days a week. We received another question regarding the availability of the service. Again, if you are in the county area, in the shaded burgundy area, you are available to use the Van Gogh service seamlessly. And those who have service within the Lodi, Stockton, Manteca, Tracy, Ripon area, you will no longer be able to use Van Gogh only within those areas. However, if any leg of your trip begins or ends in the unincorporated or rural area of the county, you can still utilize the Van Gogh service. Next slide, please. Now we're going to talk about the changes to the fare structure. Unlike the prior or existing system, the new structure will have a mileage-based fare. Unfortunately, as costs have increased and revenues have decreased, RTD has had to adjust Van Gogh's fare structure accordingly. The cost for the service will be based on the fare, on the mileage. The cost of the service fare will be based on the mileage. For example, $4 will be the one-way fare based on the first 0 to 5 miles of your trip. So if your trip is less than 5 miles, you pay a $4 fare per person. However, on the 5th mile and thereafter, the fare will increase to 50 cents per mile. The example below says, if your trip is a 22-mile one-way trip between Stockton and Lockford, that $4 base fare is for the first 5 miles. The 17 miles thereafter at 50 cents per mile equals $8.50. Add those two together, the total cost for your trip will now be $12.50. We do understand that these changes are significant, and we will continue to monitor the program and report back as soon as we can if there's any need for modifications. But as for now, this is the effect of this service as of August 16th. Next slide, please. In order to make your reservations, this is how you do it through the mobile app. There's also a phone call feature, but we do prefer, if possible, that all people schedule their trips through the mobile app. We have been able to suspend the service for a few days as far as advanced features because we need to shut down to transition the fare structure. Therefore, advanced reservations will not be available between August 13th and 15th. Only same-day reservations will be available during that time. We will have service, but just not available for advanced reservations. We will resume advanced reservations, however, on August 16th, which is the new date of the new fare structure. Next slide, please. RTD also has other mobility options that will be implemented in coming days. Our volunteer driver program, formerly known as VIP, is now called My Ride. This program is offered through Access San Joaquin, which is the Consolidated Transportation Services Agency for San Joaquin County. In addition, RTD will launch a program in partnership with Uber that will provide another travel option for dial-a-ride service users. In order to provide a more comprehensive and detailed presentation, we will hold another virtual workshop next week on Wednesday, August the 12th at 2 p.m. The workshop will be recorded and will focus on these special mobility programs. That concludes my presentation. Is there any questions that I need to address, Marab? Before I turn it over to Brad.
I'm making a list of the questions, so if we could address them at the end of the session.
Okay, all right, great.
I don't.
Without further ado, I will introduce to you Mr. Brad Manell, our Operations Superintendent of Maintenance, who will cover RTD's cleaning, sanitation, and protection efforts.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I am Brad Manell, Operations Superintendent for Maintenance. Our department is responsible for the maintenance, servicing, and cleaning of all RTD vehicles. Also responsible for the well-being of our maintenance employees that help us provide safe, reliable, and efficient transportation for our customers. I'm going to talk to you and give you a brief summary of cleaning, sanitation, and protection of our processes and procedures as related to the COVID-19 requirements. We start off, we perform daily disinfecting of the buses every day using an antiviral, antibacterial solution that includes the wipe down of seating areas, stanchions, driver's areas, windows, and bulkheads, and as many touch points as possible. In addition to that, the buses that we did use for service that day are sprayed with an antiviral, antibacterial agent, and this is a new backpack type sprayer that covers the same areas as the daily cleaning and is an extra level of protection. On top of that, we also currently detail 2 buses a day. Details include the cleaning and wiping of the entire bus, top to bottom, front to back, every part of the interior. After which we perform a disinfecting fogging that places the antimicrobial fog in all the nooks and crannies and crevices of the interior of the bus that we cannot reach by hand wiping or brush or the backpack. Next slide, please. We have installed 40 temporary carbon plastic driver barriers in buses, specifically to provide another layer of protection for our drivers. They are installed mainly on our BRT fleet and our other Stockton metro area buses. Another temporary type of driver's barrier being installed currently is a marine vinyl sheeting. At this time, we are approximately 90% complete with all of those installations. Both types of these temporary barriers just mentioned will be replaced eventually by a permanent driver's barrier that is sturdier, more substantial, and provide better protection for our operators. We have plans for these types to be installed on all of the buses in the fleet, beginning in approximately 3 to 4 months. We also are currently installing disinfectant hand wipe dispensers in all of the buses in the fleet, and these are to be used by the drivers and the passengers. Finally, the bus destination signs and annunciations have been programmed with public messages noting the adherence of the COVID-19 requirements to ride the fleet of buses. We had one question regarding placing seatbelts in buses. Past and current buses were not required to have seatbelts, so manufacturers do not provide those items at that time, but any future bus purchases will have seatbelts installed as we follow the local, state, and federal guidelines that we adhere to. And next up is Nancy Antonio, our RTD Risk Administrator.
Good evening. My name is Nancy Antonio, and I am the Risk Administrator here at San Joaquin RTD. Next slide, please. RTD is committed to creating a safe and responsible environment for our employees, our passengers, and our community. First and foremost, safety is our priority. Earlier, we received a question on how we are making sure everyone has a mask before entering the bus. RTD follows the state mandate on requiring persons using or waiting for public transit to wear face coverings. Signage has been placed on our website and at the transit stations to inform the public of this requirement. In addition, RTD is providing one free face covering to passengers at the transit stations. Next slide, please. As Brad mentioned earlier, the buses are cleaned and disinfected each night by the maintenance staff, and RTD has begun installing disinfecting wipes in the buses in order for passengers to clean their respective areas. For employee safety, workstations were moved to encourage social distancing, and we have limited the number of staff in break rooms, restrooms, and elevators, and in-person meetings are now conducted virtually. Signage and markings were installed at transit stations to remind passengers to socially distance while waiting for buses. Next slide, please. Again, as earlier stated, RTD has installed barriers between the bus operator compartment and the passenger area to help provide you with another layer of protection. We received a question on how we ensure passengers socially distance on the bus. Signage has been placed on the buses to encourage passengers to socially distance by demonstrating what staggered seating looks like. In addition, fares will be free during the month of August to encourage you to ride and experience the new changes. Next slide, please. For employee safety, RTD employees are required to complete a short symptom questionnaire and on-site temperature screening before they can begin work. RTD requires that staff experiencing any symptoms to stay at home and contact their doctor for further guidance and testing. RTD uses electronic message boards to remind staff about the importance of social distancing, hand washing, and the latest updates on the pandemic situation. RTD also requires staff to wear face coverings while not at their workstations, and all staff have been provided the necessary personal protective equipment such as face coverings, hand sanitizer, face shields, and gloves to keep themselves and you, the riders, safe. Also, some administrative staff have been allowed to work from home during this time. Next slide. RTD's contracted security officers provide passenger awareness about the county's public health order and the requirement of the use of face coverings and physical distancing while on RTD property. Security officers also provide high visibility assistance in making sure passengers have these face coverings in order to ride the bus and will issue them to those that need one. RTD also uses transportation road supervisors and Stockton police officers to respond to any reported incidents on the bus. RTD also maintains partnerships with other agencies such as San Joaquin County Office of Emergency Services, Stockton Unified School District, San Joaquin Council of Governments, and the Greater Stockton Chamber of Commerce in order to meet the health and safety needs of our community as we work to rebuild your confidence in riding public transit. I would like to now invite Merab Talamantes to continue with the presentation.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, we have received a few questions during the workshop. Thank you very much to all of the presenters. We're going to start with the first question. And if our presenters would please feel free to unmute yourself and take the question. if it is pertains to your area of expertise. We would really appreciate it. Thank you. The first question is, so the Hopper 8 will no longer go to North Highway 99?
Yes, so unfortunately, due to low ridership, we did discontinue service to that area. So I think it's Mobile Home Park. So for that area, we did currently discontinue service to that area due to low ridership.
Thank you, Elizabeth. I believe the next a couple of questions are for you too. Okay, the next one is, where can we get, where, someone? Okay, there we go. Where can we get the route map for Route 93?
Okay. So all the new changes and all the returning routes will be posted online with the updated schedules. So that includes the schedule as well as the map for each route.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Next question, what are the time schedules in the morning for the Route 150, for the commuter 150 bus, Monday through Friday? And what are those going to look like on August 16th?
So for August 16, so for those, let me just take a look so I will provide you with the correct times.
Thank you.
So for the 150, departing the DTC, we will still continue having the same, a couple of the trips. The first trip will be departing at 4 a.m. From the DTC. The second trip would be at 5 a.m., which these two trips we currently do have at this time as well. We have discontinued the trip departing at 6 a.m. in the morning, but we will have the trip at 7 a.m. And then our last trip departing at the DTC would be at 3 p.m. So these are the times for the departure from Stockton, and then the returning trips from Dublin BART. The first trip would be at 6:15 a.m. The second trip would be at 7:15 a.m. The third trip would be at 9:15, and then the last three afternoon trips would be 4:30, 5:30, and 6:30 p.m. And as mentioned before, these schedules will be provided online as soon as possible.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Okay, we have a couple of questions for our Deputy CEO, Kimberly Gale. The first one is, what are the hours for Van Gogh?
The hours are 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. beginning on August the 16th.
Okay. And let's hear, why is Lathrop treated as rural? It's unincorporated.
So Lathrop, we're going off the 2010 census, and the county service area includes both the unincorporated areas and the rural areas of the county. And so at the time of the 2010 census, Lathrop was not included in the calculations at that time.
Thank you very much. Let's see. How can the blind get the text bus stop codes?
So we will work on the technology for that as a recipient of federal funds as well as state requirements. All of our technology efforts have to be accessible. And so we will definitely make sure that we have the availability to accommodate all riders as part of our text bus deployment. So look for further information pertaining to that.
And how will blind passengers know where to sit socially distanced on the bus?
I can take that one. All of our ADA accessible seating areas are still accessible, and though we have some seats that are blocked off by signs to try to maintain the social distancing, our operators are more than willing and happy to help you and assist you to the seat, an open seat that still maintains that social distancing and gets you where you need to go.
Thank you, Brad. Another question about Van Gogh. Can we still add 3 passengers? When will the information regarding Van Gogh be added to the website?
Can we add passengers? I'm sorry, didn't hear that
Can we
part.
still add 3 passengers
Okay.
for the trip?
So the new fare structure is a per person fare. And so based upon availability at the time of scheduling, you'll be able to add passengers based on that availability during the scheduling period. We are working with the vendor to make sure that at the time of scheduling, you'll know not just the number of passengers, but the total cost of the trip. This will be an update to the application. I'm sorry, what's the next question?
The next question is, when will the Van Gogh information be available on our website? Actually, I think Angela from our marketing department may be able to answer that question.
Yes.
Hi, everyone. This is Angela. Yes, so the information for Van Gogh will be made available very soon in the next few days, just as we finalize all of the promotional material.
Thank you, Angela. I actually have another question for you. When will RTD send out the Zoom link for the August 12th workshop?
The Zoom link will be sent out as soon as that's available, and that will most likely be, again, within the next few days. And you can trust that we will send that information out as soon as possible.
Thank you. I have a couple of questions came in, I believe, for Elizabeth.
PUTA.
Okay, so is Route 371 suspended or is it still running? That was an alternative to Hopper 8 as shown on the presentation.
So currently, Route 371 is suspended until further notice. And although we did mention as an alternative service for Metre Hopper 8, which will be suspended, we do have alternative service as well on Metre Hopper 6, which will be returning to full service this upcoming August 16th. So for now, that's our only alternative to Metre Hopper 8 until the 300 series, including the 371, return back to service.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Next question for you. Will Route 163 still connect with MAX, Stockton Commuter Express? Oh, with the, I believe it's with the Modesto MAX Stockton.
Oh, I think the one that will be at the DTC, right? I think that's the one they might be referring to. So that I'm aware of, it still will be connecting. Although it will have, as mentioned, only a couple trips. So for that one, we will only have 2 morning trips and 2 afternoon trips. So the 2 morning trips would be the one at 5:30 in the morning and at 6:30, and then but the Route 163 doesn't go to the DTC. So I'm not sure if maybe they might be referring to maybe Route 150.
Okay. We can go ahead and reach out to the our listener and get a little bit more information on that. I do have another question for you. When will Route 40 and Hopper 5 go back to regular schedule?
So all these changes mentioned in this presentation will take into effect on August 16, which is, I think, about a week from now. So next Sunday. So next Sunday we'll start with the weekend service, and then on Monday, which is August 17, we'll start the weekday service, which as mentioned in the presentation, mostly all the routes will be returning back to service, except of course the 300 series route.
Thank you. And would you mind briefly giving your response again for the what's the alternative to the Route 371? If you don't mind.
Okay, yeah. So for Route 371, currently the alternative service will only be Route Metre Hopper 6. and Metro Hopper 6 serves the Marsh Lane area by Winkle. So if you need a service to the Marsh Lane to those little medical offices, for now, until we do reinstate the 300 series route, Metro Hopper 6 will be the only alternative service for the Metro Hopper 8.
Thank you very much.
Mhm.
And we have a question for our risk administrator, Nancy Antonio. And the question is, what if I notice a passenger is showing symptoms of COVID-19? What steps should I take?
That's a good question. Well, due to privacy, laws, we can't go up to people and, kick them off the bus. But if you do notice something, you can tell the bus operator or a security officer. And again, that's why we encourage passengers to socially distance and make sure that they do have the face covering, so we can prevent any form of transmission.
Thank you. Yes, we all have a responsibility to keep each other safe, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, those are all of our questions. That is a wrap. Thank you to our presenters for providing such detailed explanations about the service changes. And thank you to our listeners for taking the time to learn about the changes that are happening at RTD. As your regional transit provider, we want you to know that we are here to provide a clean, safe, and healthy environment for all of your transportation needs. If you have additional questions regarding our service or comments, please send them to us. You can send them to us directly on our website. That would be at www.sjrtd.com/customer-comment, or you feel free to give us a call at 209-943-1111. Again, thanks everyone for joining us, and have a pleasant evening and take care of yourself. Thank you.